Initially, I started growing in the front yard. My wife suggested, like, why don't we put a pumpkin there? And I was like, well, why don't we try to grow a big pumpkin? I just kind of like threw it in there, let it grow. Didn't really know any of the technical science on how to do it really well. It ended up being 195 pounds. So I was like, well, let's take it to a weigh-off and see how we do. And we get there, and my daughter, who was 4 at the time, she goes, Dad, why is your pumpkin the smallest one here? That hit my competitive bone. It was just game on from there. We went from doing nothing to trying to do everything. I have a whole system here that once I fill up this tank, it takes a reading of what the pH is and then either uses a pH down or a pH up to get it to the perfect pH so that when I run this fertilizer that we have a maximum amount of nutrient uptake. Gardening in general is kind of like therapy for me. You go out there and you can kind of forget about the problems of the world. I grew up in Windsor, but when I was in 4th grade, I shot out all the streetlights with my BB gun. So my mom said, hey, you can't have any spare time ever from 4th grade all the way through high school. I worked on a farm with my grandpa. That was kind of my first introduction to plants.
How does it feel cutting it off the vine?
Kind of not great. It's probably like losing a kid to college. All the pumpkin seeds are labeled with their final weight and then the grower's last name. So like this one's a 2168 Werner. That was grown in Kansas last year and grew a state record. So that's kind of why it's in the batch. I have like sunflower seeds and then like a bunch of pumpkin ones. I could probably grow giant pumpkins for the next 50 years off of what I have.
So he's always been competitive, is what you're saying?
Yeah, maybe so competitive that you couldn't let him be the banker when you played Monopoly. Because your hotels and houses might disappear, plus you might not get paid $200 for a pass and go.
I've been worried about this lift for a week now. Is the pumpkin gonna go light? Is it gonna go heavy? Does it have a rot spot? Is everything gonna be okay? Are we gonna get to the weigh off and be able to compete? These big giants are giant babies. Like, things go wrong and they go wrong quickly if they're not averted. A little further and then we'll lift it and we'll put some foam underneath and see what this weight is. Thanks, JJ. First and foremost, prestige is on the line. Like, it's 3 or 4 hours a day that I'm either in here watering or doing some sort of vine maintenance, building a big greenhouse and putting as much money as we have into it. We do want to recoup some of those costs. It's not something I'm doing to try to make money, but let's just try to break even or make it close. It's fine, Dad. Yeah! Woo! That's what we're talking about. Yeah, baby. My favorite thing of all of pumpkin growing is actually having this thing on the back of my truck or the back of the trailer and just seeing people's faces like light up. Like, they'll be like, hey, what is that? And then they'll drive over and then the other person's like, that's a giant pumpkin. And they're like, no way. And then they'll slow down, get right behind the trailer and they're like, yeah, that is a pumpkin. And then you can see them taking pictures of it and smiling, and then they drive past you and giving the thumbs up. It's almost like their cares and worries have dissolved for those 2 minutes that they're driving by you on the highway or in the city. Just seeing other people's joy of what you're able to grow is phenomenal.
Yes, that is a big pumpkin.